This photograph captures the visual definition of the summer of 2016. Millions staring into their phones, crowding into public parks to capture virtual creatures. At the time, global observers credited this success to the engineering of Silicon Valley, a victory for modern GPS mapping and augmented reality. For decades, scholars have argued that the Pokémon franchise achieved this level of dominance by scrubbing away its specific cultural origins. By removing distinctly Japanese references, Nintendo created an odorless international product that could be exported to any culture on Earth. But strip away the digital interface, and the code begins to look like a hauntology, a digital ghost of ancient Japanese survival practices and rituals, perfectly preserved inside a mobile app. 3 specific real-world analog traditions power the game: Shinto religious pilgrimages, the seasonal cataloging of nature, and the gamified travel networks of the early 20th century. To understand the world's most successful mobile game, we have to look past the software and reverse engineer its mechanics back to their analog ancestors. The origin of the franchise traces back to the 1970s in the suburban swamps of Machida, Tokyo. This was the childhood playground of game creator Satoshi Tajiri, who spent his summers wading through rice fields to collect local wildlife. Tajiri was hunting mushi. While the word roughly translates to insect, in Japanese folk taxonomy, mushi covers a much broader range of small creatures. It includes everything from grasshoppers and giant hornets to marsh crabs and small lizards. That diverse menagerie directly informed the creatures Tajiri would later design. Here we see a traditional playground pastime. Japanese children tested their collections by pitting their captured mushi against one another in physical sumo-style bouts. Decades later, those neighborhood dirt ring skirmishes became digital gym battles. Collecting and transporting these creatures required specialized gear. Kids needed cheap containers to store their mushi, and they found a solution in local vending machines, emptying out plastic gashapon capsule toys and repurposing the shells as makeshift bug cages. These capsules reveal a direct design lineage. The digital Pokeball on the right is visually identical to the 1980s plastic gashapon shell in the center. Throwing a glowing digital sphere to capture a virtual monster on a sidewalk is a powerful digitized memory. It's the exact action of Japanese children hunting for bugs in the mud. Capturing the creatures is only half the loop. The other half is the Pokédex, the in-game digital encyclopedia that requires players to categorize their catches and track their physical evolutions over time. This core mechanic comes directly from Konshu Hyohan. Since the 1970s, Japanese primary schools formalized insect collecting into a summer project, requiring children to gather, pin, and categorize local insects in display boxes. The structural symmetry is striking. The digital Pokédex perfectly mirrors the taxonomic rigor of the analog collection box. By studying the metamorphosis of bugs, from larva to pupa to adult, children learn the biological reality that drives the game's evolution mechanic. The compulsion to catch 'em all is a deeply ingrained cultural drive to organize and revere the natural world, rather than a novel trick of modern game design. The game also applies these mechanics to the geography of the physical world. Players must travel to landmarks, known as Pokéstops, to log their visits and collect items. As we see in this image, the concept of locative tracking traces back centuries. Ancient Shinto and Buddhist pilgrims traversed the natural landscape of Japan, stopping at specific holy sites. At each temple, travelers collected goshuin leg-in stamps, acting as proof of journey. Curated in accordion-folded goshuin cho books, these stamps functioned as an analog ledger, mapping a physical journey through data points long before smartphones. During the Meiji era, the expanding railway systems gamified this practice into secular stamp rallies. As these train passengers examine their books, we see the rewards of Japanese domestic tourism, unique regional mascot stamps collected at different stations. Long before modern digital maps, Japanese infrastructure had already turned the physical world into an interactive game board. Pinning insects, collecting temple stamps, and visiting train stations are all united by a uniquely Japanese concept of play known as asobi. In the West, play is often viewed as a free-form, spontaneous activity. Asobi relies on discipline, aesthetic repetition, and an acute awareness of nature. To observe asobi is to embrace mujo, the transient nature of the changing seasons. As this rapidly blooming cherry blossom illustrates, the life of a summer insect or a spring flower is beautiful specifically because it is temporary. You must be in the right place at the right time to catch it. Pokémon Go functions as a digital vessel for this mindset. It uses augmented reality to encourage a physical connection with the world around us. When millions of people wandered through parks in 2016 to capture virtual bugs, they were reviving a centuries-old Japanese pilgrimage, whether they realized it or not.